Hey there folks, Red-Haired Maniac back here once again. It's been a couple weeks since I've dropped a video. Had some things come up. Mostly I was out of town for a weekend for a wedding this past weekend, which meant last week's comics didn't get reviewed, and I just got this week's read. So we're going to do a double dose of comics today. I've been promising you guys some music stuff. That's on the way too. Picked up a couple CDs. While they're not new, it's part of a series I'm going to start doing, and I think you guys will enjoy it. But right now, on to comics. And from a couple weeks back, we have Squadron Supreme number 8, Guardians of Infinity number 7, Uncanny Inhumans number 10, All New Inhumans number 8, and Lucifer number, I believe, 7, my bad. Not a bad batch, for that week. I was late reading them again because I was out of town. But, we're going to start with Lucifer. If you remember a few weeks back, I did Lucifer number 6. Where basically his son is taken home to his girlfriend's parents, who their initial plans were to sacrifice him for their satanic cult. Well, turns out he's the son of the devil, yada yada yada. His uncle, I believe Beelzebub, takes him down to hell for him to take his rightful place on the throne since Lucifer has bolted. This issue kind of sets up and pushes that storyline along a little bit. Lucifer's getting invited to watch. I don't think he knows entirely what's going on with it. The kid's ready to fight. Turns out the uncle is just kind of not setting the kid up, but it's basically the uncle's making a power play and using the kid to do it. Again, demons, hell, it's kind of expected. If you don't have at least a double cross, if not triple cross in there, you're not really paying attention. All in all, solid work. Enjoying the book a lot. Squadron Supreme number 8. This has been dealing with a number of different story arcs. Turns out Power Princess has betrayed the group. She's actually planning to invade something or other. I'm not entirely certain. I've been reading and kind of paying attention, but it's not been the favorite part of the arc. There's been some dealings with Dr. Spectrum and Black Bolt and Toro of old Invaders fame. Turns out Toro's an Inhuman. Dr. Spectrum came to a facility run by the Myriad. They ended up destroying it, or at least a chunk of it. They found basically Inhumans and Genesis cocoons. Black Bolt and Toro took them, invited Dr. Spectrum to come along. Spectrum's kind of pissed off because Black Bolt's the one who killed her world, but spared her. Reasoning behind that is she's an Inhuman from a different universe, but she is still an Inhuman. One where abilities take the form more of magic than of technology and science. But it's an interesting twist to see where they go with that. Meanwhile, also with the last adventure, Nighthawk was fighting Nighthawk. Raymond Kane, the Nighthawk of the alternate world, who's part of this current group of Squadron Supreme, is fighting the Nighthawk of Earth Prime, or whatever Marvel wants to call her frickin' main Earth these days. Turns out, when all was said and done, Nighthawk of Earth Prime is a Skrull. And some of the things with the Myriad get a little bit deeper after that. Again, interesting, not really expected, nice little twist. We'll see where that goes. Guardians of Infinity. Bunch of Guardians of the Galaxy team from throughout time kind of got stuck in this place where all time converges, as for lack of a better phrase. They get captured by some guy called Lord Hermeticus, or just Hermeticus, depending on how ego-driven he's feeling at the time. Hermeticus has this body armor that he basically allows him to suck out people's brains, put them in a little solution, and attach them to the armor, and he assigns them jobs. Like, in this case, Raccoon is his tactical genius. Meanwhile, the rest of the Guardians are, captured and they're trying to get out. And they're doing a fairly good job of it so far. It's just not really hasn't had a whole lot of twists. Just kind of continuing the same arc, and that's fine. I actually enjoy books like that, where it's like, not every book has to contain something new and special, just as long as it moves the story along. I mean, this one's doing that. All new Inhumans. Flint and Gorgon and Swain and a couple others end up in another Inhuman outpost. It's not Adeline. It's something, name I forget. It really doesn't matter. These folks have, they worship and revere Terrigenesis. They've hidden themselves away from the outside world. Turns out that is where Flint's from. His mother's still there. His father is dead. His father's the one who took him away. He has a sister who's kind of nutty and militaristic. Someone comes on to Gorgon because these crazy Terrigenesis cult folks kind of try to keep their bloodlines, if not pure, at least viable. Because so many of their kids are dying because they're so inbred, they're dying to within Terrigenesis. Here, kid, have Terrigenesis. Whoop, dead kid. So they're taking a little bit more scientific and genetic approach to it. One of their citizens comes on to Gorgon. Gorgon can't really do much about it because, hey, he can't walk right now. His chair kind of freaks out, gets overprotective. He can't seem to control it. At which point in time, he gets arrested by Flint's sister, who's part of the guard, militia, army, whatever passes for military there. Again, move the story along. Don't know where I'm going with that one yet. Uncanny Inhumans. Guy on the cover is a newer character by the name of Reader. He's a blind guy who has basically a limited number of what he calls reads per day. He has flashcards in Braille. If he can read it, he can try and enact something related to that word. It's kind of a cool little ability. The full focus of what he can do gets revealed, and he's a badass. Basically, anything he can read, he can make reality. Gets captured by the Capo. If you've been reading any recent Inhumans thing, you know who the Capo is. Badass Inhuman, pretty much immortal. His ability is basically to possess bodies and live with, basically, I'm taking your body now, deal with it. That's how he's managed to stay alive for so many years. Reader and another character, Trest, who I don't know much about, get stuck in a bad situation where, the Capo basically laid the trap for him. And, Reader set it up to where he could read. It's like, hey, you don't have your Braille cards, blah, blah, blah. It's like, I can still write in Braille. Found some pebbles while he's being restrained and kind of put the word rewrite in Braille and just kept rewriting the scenario over and over again until he got an outcome that he could live with. Because they were pretty much dead. Basically, he can rewrite the laws of reality if you give him enough time. That's kind of frightening. Definitely a character to keep an eye on at that point in time. And that's all for last week's comics, so that had been the week of June 15th. Week of June 22nd, which had been this past week. Where did that batch go? I had them here just now. Hey, there we go. We got 2 Guardians related titles, a Squadron Supreme related title, and another book which is starting to come into its own. Nighthawk number 2. Squadron Supreme and the Squadron Supreme main book, Nighthawk fought Nighthawk found he's a Skrull. In his own title, right now, Nighthawk is a Chicago vigilante who is more akin to Batman and is tracking down a serial killer. I'm not certain I'm enjoying where this is going, because the killer in general is trying to incite pretty much a race riot. And it's not mutants versus humans, it's just straight black and white. And I don't mind when comics touch on social issues. Actually, I rather enjoy it. This one just seems really ham-fisted. It's related to Squadron, so I'm going to keep picking it up for a little bit, but I don't know where it's going to go. Guardians title number 1 related. Drax number, I don't know, number 8. This has the benefit, I'll use that in quotes, being at least plotted by, if not written by, ex-WWE wrestler CM Punk. Comic book aficionado. It's well known. Anyone who's paid attention to his career, and just to him in general, his love of comics. The storyline that he's going through right now doesn't seem big enough for a Guardian of the Galaxy. He's got a ship full of kids. Apparently one's got a contract on them. They returned the one who they thought the contract was on, say, hey, never mind, don't worry about that. No, it turns out the contract's on a kid that hasn't been born yet, because the egg's on the ship. It hatches. It's this blue dragon-esque creature. I don't know what it is. I don't really care. Somewhere in there, they get attacked by space pirates, and him and Planetary and a couple other people that run around just go and kick ass, take names. Because he's Drax, this is what he does. I want to like it. Not sure I do. We're going to keep that one we're going to keep it going, but we're not real pleased with it lately. Guardians of the Galaxy related book number 2. Rocket, Raccoon, and Groot number 6. Scotty Young's writing this. I forget who's doing the art, but it's not Scotty. Did the cover, but not the interiors. Basically, in the last few issues, Rocket and Groot Rocket's been telling tall tales of their adventures to a group of basically intergalactic Boy Scouts around a campfire, and each issue has been another tale. And it's a cute little thing. This one is Rocket and Groot get into a game of one-upsmanship, where that Groot keeps winning. Rocket won't let it go. It goes from pool to darts to drinking to a space race to, effectively a pod race in space. During this race, they get, a favor called in from Rocket. It's like, hey, I'm general of this planet. We're about to be overrun by our mortal enemy. Can you come help us? Well, they turn that into a one-upsmanship a la Lord of the Rings, between Legolas and Gimli, keeping track of how many things they kill. And Groot's and Rocket's still going, that still only counts as one. As a result, the guys in the general's army, the general who called in favor, just looking like, we didn't really need to fight these guys for years. We could have just called these two, because they slaughtered everything. That ends up in a fought-for tie, because it literally comes down to they've killed the same amount of people, save one, which they argue over. Well, Rocket argues over. Groot says, I am Groot. Cute. I kind of like what she's doing with it. I think Scotty's a she. But it's Rocket. I enjoy Rocket. Groot is such an untapped character, and I'd really like it if they did more with him. They imply so many things, and yet they don't really ever reveal that much. And that's sad, because he's deeper than that. Overall, not a bad little book. It's definitely good to have around if you want something away from grim and from grim darkness and depression, and a little bit more lighter-hearted kind of book. Not a lighthearted kind of book currently. the last one for today. Sam Wilson, Captain America, number 10. Ties in with Civil War 2. I am not collecting the Civil War stuff, mostly because I got tired of that bullshit with Secret Wars 2. It's like, here's Secret Wars, get the bazillion tie-ins. Fuck that, don't have the money, don't have the time, don't have the patience. I will collect anything that's related. I will happily pick it up. This happens to be one of them. Apparently, in Civil War 2, James Rhodes, aka War Machine, and for a time Iron Man, has died. If you watch Civil War the movie, you get the light version of that. He's paralyzed from the waist down. Note, in the comics, he's dead. And they're at his funeral. And this is where Sam Wilson kind of has his Captain America moment. As much as, if you remember, during the first Civil War, Captain America had his moment with Spider-Man about... Spider-Man's like, how do you keep doing it when the weight of the world is pushing you to do one thing when you don't think it's right? And Cap gives this fantastic speech. A fantastic piece of work. Go look it up. Google Spider-Man, Captain America, Civil War dialogue. You should be able to find it. Basically, it was the whole, when the world and the media and the governments and everyone else is trying to tell you basically to get out of the way because your implantation is, you're impeding their progress. It's like, no, I'm standing for truth, you move. That was iconic. And a side note, I don't know why they gave that segment of the speech to Sheridan Carter in the Civil War movie. Seemed awkward, seemed a little stilted. Personally, I think they could have given it to Spider-Man, had Cap and Spider-Man have that moment. I think part of the reason why they didn't is because something between Marvel and Sony only let them use Spider-Man for so many minutes of the film. Whatever. But anyway, going back to this, Sam Wilson has his moment. There's a section of the book where all these heroes are gathering, and he enters a room, and again, this gets a little ham-fisted, but he's basically in a room full of African-American superheroes. T'Challa's there, Aurora's there, Luke Cage, Misty Knight, Monica Rambeau, a couple others. Most notably, Jericho Drum, aka Brother Voodoo, aka Dr. Voodoo, who apparently, unless something's changed, is the current Sorcerer Supreme. What it all comes down to, it's coming down to for the funeral, and it's like, someone needs to give a eulogy, and Wilson's like, so who's going to talk? And they all look at him like he's nuts. Like, is there any other person in this room? Because they're just all looking at him. There's no other choice. Because he is, even though he's not the Captain America that some of the populace want in the nation, he is still currently Captain America. And he gives this really nice eulogy about Jim Rhodes and how Jim was a hero. He didn't really, he just, if something needed doing, he just did it. And it was his Captain America moment. And he needed one. The book, I like the book because I like the character. The way it's been written, he's not been on good footing as Captain America, especially now that Steve Rogers is back. They're going to share the mantle. Still waiting to see how that goes, but at the same time, it puts Sam in a better light, especially after the first issue of Steve Rogers' Captain America, where near the end it was Hail Hydra and all that pure came around. They position Sam to be the outright better choice of the two. Bold move on their part. And this particular issue kind of justified that. It was really well done. Again, a little ham-fisted with the whole racial thing, but at the same time, less ham-fisted than I can't even think of the book I was talking about. Oh, the Nighthawk book. Far less ham-fisted than that. I don't know who's writing this. Last name I believe is Spencer. Crack open the book and look, Dave. You got it right in front of you. Nick Spencer. Nick Spencer's actually been doing a really nice job. At least with this issue, the book's been a little uneven, like I said. Yeah, who's in this room? Did I get everybody? Let's see. Sam, Misty Knight, T'Challa, Luke Cage, Storm, Mark Rambo, Brother Voodoo. Oh, and Nick Fury. Because I keep forgetting, with the Marvel MCU, they made Nick an African American. Well, you get Samuel L. Jackson, you make the motherfucker black. That's the way it goes. And Samuel L. Jackson would approve of that use of the word motherfucker. Well, they're having all this. They're having this talk, and there are a number of things going on. They're talking about what's going on in the Civil War, and it's like certain situations, and they're getting kind of a fight about what to do about the whole Civil War situation. And Sam's like, okay, enough, not here, not now. And they apologize. Sorry, it's just sorry. We need to figure out who's going to speak. And they're all looking at him, and Luke Cage's like, "You're kidding, right? There's no other choice." So 10 minutes later, he's getting ready to give a eulogy, and it's 2, 3, 4, 5. Actually, there's about 4 pages of eulogy and about another 2 pages of inner thought. And then they're going into another race war thing. With some character called Rage. Whatever. Basically, though, up to that point, that book that's probably the best. It's been the high point of the book. Well worth it. Worth reading. Especially with the furor over the Steven Rogers Captain America. And the whole, is he a Hydra sympathizer, yada yada yada. This kind of gives you hope. And that's kind of what the country needs. In the comic book situation, and honestly in our current situation, if you kind of look at who our choices for president are right now, it's effing frightening. I'm going to vote, not sure who for, but not really going to get into those politics either. World's kind of going to hell in a bucket, and I read comics to kind of escape from that. And it's nice to see something positive. Positively signing out for now. Red-haired Maniac. Hopefully won't be gone too terribly long. The landlord's got to do some remodeling, so I've got to clean up the office a bit and move some stuff around. So I don't know exactly when I'm going to sign on again. I'm hopefully going to have a temporary setup in the living room. That'll let me keep doing this. Might drive the dogs nuts. Oh well. Take care, folks.